Thank you for allowing me to share with you holistic health, restoring a natural rhythm. I believe you need more than a pill to be well. The best predictor of success is not money or your IQ, but faith and hope that you will succeed. The best predictor for longevity is hope. The best gift you can give somebody is hope. You get hope by encouraging others. Enabling and encouraging others is caring. First, some bad news. Our bodies are on a constant attack, like a meteor shower. This leads to inflammation, which in turn leads to heart attacks, stroke and cancer, and autoimmune diseases like diabetes. Almost 1 in 2 of us will get cancer. The tax assessor thinks this is what my house is worth. The bank, on the other hand, thinks this is what it's worth. When it comes to patients and lawyers, they sometimes think we're 100% responsible for their well-being. While research says maybe physicians are only about 35% responsible for well-being. 80% of all disease is lifestyle related. In other words, what we do. When doctors go on strike, the death rate significantly decreases. Hospital errors are the third leading cause of death. Yes, a jumbo jet full of people die every day due to preventable medical errors. 20% of people suffer from complications or side effects from medication. Often we do tests and procedures on patients which have little value and sometimes even harm them. Yes, healthcare costs a lot of money, and often we don't do a good job at it. This leads to low trust and often to depression, anxiety, and stress. Good medicine has a small role to play in well-being. Next, I want to share with you how our mind, our body, and spirit is connected. Like the gears in a gearbox, if one of these fail, everything comes to a grinding halt. Stress is the new black death. In Japan, they call this epidemic karoshi. Not all stress is bad. Dr. Sapolsky spent most of his life studying stress. He says chronic stress is like battery acid. It eats away at you. He studied baboons and found the lower your rank, the higher your disease level, the higher amount of stress you have. Stress and disease directly correlated. In other words, low rank, high stress equaled high disease. Study done with macaque monkeys in North Carolina showed low rank, high stress, high disease. Yes, survival of the fittest attitude will kill you. They specifically looked at blood vessel disease and how stress caused blood vessel disease. Yes, inflammation in the vessel, which leads to stroke and heart attack. When there is inflammation in the wall of the vessel and ulceration, platelets try and seal this off and protect you. But unfortunately, they can totally occlude a vessel, and this is why more than half of heart attacks occur where there is no significant narrowing in the vessel. It's what happens in the wall of the vessel and the inflammation and the plaque and the ulceration that can kill you. Yes, stress determines our happiness. The lower our rank, the less likely you are to be happy. The UK Whitehall study showed that the higher your rank, the healthier and happier you were. The lower your rank, the less happy you were and the more disease you had. The effects of stress lasts a long time. According to this study, more than 60 years later you still suffer the effect from stress you had a long time ago. Dr. Blackburn studied mothers with disabled children. She found the protective end caps, the telomeres at the end of your DNA, shrunk the equivalent of 6 years for every 1 year these mothers took care of these children. Dr. Benson says 60 to 90% of all modern illnesses are stress related. Yes, stress causes real physical symptoms. In this study with rats, when they were stressed, the dendrites decreased. When they were stimulated, these dendrites grew back. 10 years into Dr. Sapolsky's study, almost all these baboons died. They ate meat tainted with tuberculosis. But some of them survived. The baboons, caring for each other, survived. Yes, caring saves lives. Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn's mothers started a support group. They started caring for each other and reaching out to each other, and their telomeres grew back. They physically healed. Multiple sclerosis patients started a support group, caring for each other, and they improved. This lady improved the most. Can you guess why? She was the one providing care for the others. The antidote to stress is not Prozac or the lottery, but caring for others. Caring relationships is the antidote to stress, anxiety, and depression. Emerson says you cannot help someone and in the process not help yourself. Albert Schweitzer says the only ones who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. If you want to be happy, healthy, and rich, serve others. In the story or parable in the Bible about the goats and the sheep, why do you think the goats got condemned and the sheep got an inheritance? Do you think the sheep got inheritance because they performed good deeds? I believe the sheep got inheritance because they cared for others, and in this caring, they became whole. Yes, they got to know who love is. The greatest command in the Christian religion is love. In our caring for others, we become whole in our mind, our body, and spirit. The Dalai Lama says compassion is happiness. In the Hindu religion, caring for others brings good karma. Dr. Firestone says caring for others makes us feel better. Dr. Seligman, in his book about Flourish, says an act of kindness from our part will make us feel good. Compassion and caring prolongs life. Single women have a 75% higher risk for heart attack. And if they do get a heart attack, they're 175% more likely to die. Yes, the antidote to stress, anxiety, and depression is caring relationships. Survival of the fittest attitude will kill you. Caring relationships protects you against the effect of stress. Dante, in his Divine Comedy, tried to portray hell, so he put up a sign, and he said, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." The worst possible punishment is to deprive someone of hope. Second example I'm going to use to show you the connection between our mind, body, and spirit is depression. Dr. Nedley calls this the invisible disease, because it can be hard to recognize and sometimes hard to admit that you suffer from depression. The symptoms can often be vague and non-specific. I want you to think about the possibility of depression. In men, sometimes it presents with agitation. In women, sometimes with withdrawal or passive-aggressive behavior. Yes, it presents with symptoms of the mind like hopelessness, irritability, and it can even look exactly like dementia. When we suffer from depression, we come across as unfriendly, unloving, and non-caring towards others. It affects our bodies. It can even cause bone marrow suppression. Yes, a lot of diseases are made worse or increased by depression. The death if you have a stroke and depression is increased 50%. Heart disease is increased. Osteoporosis is more likely. In this study done with patients with heart attack and depression, they were 2.5 times more likely to die. And they were added medication for the depression, they were still 2.5 times more likely to die. Yes, we need more than a pill to be well. Depression affects our spiritual life. It affects your judgment and the choices you make. If you see this glass as half empty, you live 7.5 years shorter than other people. If you see the glass as half full, you live 7.5 years longer than other people. That's a 15 years difference in lifespan. Depression is a serious disease with emotional, physical, and spiritual consequences. It affects our relationships and our work. The causes of depression has mental, physical, and spiritual causes. If you commit murder, this can lead to depression. If you watch TV all day, this can lead to depression. If you don't exercise or eat healthy, this can lead to depression. The causes of depression are usually a combination of factors, and thus preventing and treating depression should be a holistic approach. A pill alone does not cure it. Prevention is a lot easier than treating it. Remember, feelings follow action. And I'm talking about the deliberate, intentional, positive action that can replace negative feelings. In the second half, I'm going to share with you restoring a natural rhythm. 80% of us will be affected by depression. Either us or somebody close to us will be affected by depression. Remember, we are all at risk. Yes, our mind, body, and spirit is connected. I've used depression and stress to show you how these are interacted. My mom says never do for a child what he can do for himself. There is a difference between doing something for somebody and enabling somebody. The action of enabling and encouraging, caring, gives us hope Do-it-yourself cardiac bypass. What do our thoracic surgeons think? Is this possible? Harvard says it is. All you need is a pair of walking shoes. How do we enable others? In the next 25 minutes, I would like to share with you how you can enable and encourage yourself and others to be well. Like a beautiful piece of Baroque music that have distinctive rhythms, our body also have a natural rhythm. Think about a heartbeat. Think about hormones like cortisol and melatonin. Yes, there are multiple natural rhythms in our body, and I will share this with you. And it's a combination of these that keep us well. Like pilots have a checklist for safety, so we can use a checklist to keep us well. This could be a simple checklist, including things like exercise, sunlight, and water. The first thing on this checklist is our day-night routine. A day for working and a night for sleeping. Yes, our bodies have a 24-hour clock. I'm sure some of you might have suffered from jet lag. Benjamin Franklin puts it like this: early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. The most dangerous day of the year is not JCPenney Black Friday sale or Friday the 13th, but daylight savings time. 1 hour loss of sleep equals 10% increase in motor vehicle accidents, heart attacks, and work-related injuries. Night shift workers have a significantly higher risk for cancer. Not only a higher risk for cancer, but higher grades of cancer. Some of this might have to do with the significant decrease in melatonin production if we are not exposed to sunlight. If you are awake 18 hours, in other words from 6 a.m. to midnight, your judgment and reflexes are the same as if you are legally drunk or intoxicated. When we are rested, we are caring. When we are tired, we appear hostile towards other people. Yes, you might have seen me tired some days. I apologize. Lack of sleep can even make you crazy. They have discovered that disease, schizophrenia, not only have symptoms of sleep disorder, but the sleep disturbance probably plays a significant role in the development of schizophrenia and probably should play an important role in the treatment of schizophrenia. Who of you have known people who have studied all night for a test and failed the next day? Sleep is essential for memory formation, where our brain repeats this what we learned during the day up to 1,000 times. When we are rested, we are caring. Our daily routine or discipline keeps us sane. It orients us, provides us a security that leads to creativity and increases productivity. We are a nation that are sleep deprived. 90 minutes more sleep will greatly increase happiness in the USA. Just like a daily routine, we also have a weekly routine. The French tried to change this to a 10-day work week with catastrophic results. Productivity severely suffered. Many religions have a day of rest. For me, the Sabbath sets me free from survival of the fittest attitude. It sets me free from Marxism and capitalism. The next thing on our checklist is water. Our body is made up of predominantly water. Water lowers your risk for just about every disease you can imagine. Remember, we are not camels. We do not store water. We need to replenish this frequently, daily. Just for breathing, we need 2 to 4 glasses to moisture the air we breathe. Our kidneys need 6 glasses of water to function. We also lose water via other methods. A minimum water we need a day is 10 to 12 glasses of water. Yes, if we are well hydrated, we even suffer less asthma attacks. If we are dehydrated, the symptoms of mitral valve prolapse is duplicated. Being well hydrated lessens the work on the heart and decreases your risk for heart attack. Dehydration is a major risk factor for deep venous thrombosis, blood clots. Water halves your risk for heart attack. Compared to baseline, if you drink more than 5 glasses of water a day, your risk for heart attack is 50%. However, if you drink something else instead of the water, like tea, coffee, or soda, your risk of heart attack goes up 2.5 times. The difference between drinking water and drinking soda is a 5-fold increase. Caffeine robs our body of nutrients and suppresses melatonin production, and perhaps this is part of why heart attacks are increased with what we drink. This is the largest waterfall. Well, if you recognize it, it's Cumberland Falls in Kentucky. Well, let me quantify. It is the largest waterfall if you exclude Africa, India, Canada, Hawaii, Russia, Europe, and most of the states in the US except for Kentucky. That is Cumberland Falls compared to Niagara Falls. When it comes to red wine, milk, fish, chocolate, and coffee, the benefit is small and the risk is large. When we wake up in the morning, drink 2 glasses of water. This is when we are most likely to suffer a heart attack. Our bodies are dehydrated. There are numerous studies showing the benefit of religion and health. This is where I get my hope and inspiration. Sunlight is the next item on our checklist. Lack of sunlight significantly increases your risk for disease, autoimmune diseases, cancer, overall mortality. Your chances of getting cancer is significantly higher. Your chances of getting metastatic disease, for example, study done of breast cancer, if you have lack of sunlight, your risk of getting metastatic disease or having metastatic disease at the time of diagnosis is twice as likely. The risk of dying from cancer with a lack of sunlight is 30 times higher if you don't get enough sunlight. Lack of sunlight, an increased risk might be related to decreased melatonin production, decreased vitamin D production, decreased serotonin production, decreased nitrous oxide production, and an unexplained factor. There is more in the sun that we can quantify and give to people in the form of a pill. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. The incidence of multiple sclerosis, the further away from the sun, the more likely people are to develop multiple sclerosis. But you must have heard, the sun causes cancer, stay out of the sun. The health benefits of sunshine outweigh the risk for skin cancer. Our diet can protect us against skin cancer, but it takes more than a pill to be well. A quarter red time refers to being in the sun only a quarter as long as what your skin would turn red. In other words, if your skin would turn red in an hour, you only stay in the sun 15 minutes. Yes, we should prevent skin cancer with a quarter red time, eating a variety of unrefined plant foods. Always wear a hat and never ever sunburn. Sunlight slows the aging progress. Yes, telomeres were longer in people who had good sun exposure. Sunlight prevents osteoporosis. It's interesting that countries who consume the highest amount of animal protein have the highest hip fracture rate. It's also interesting that countries that consume the highest amount of animal products have the highest incidence of multiple sclerosis. The strongest disease association we have is not smoking and lung cancer, not cholesterol and heart disease, but with the right gene, drinking cow's milk leading to type 1 diabetes. To prevent osteoporosis, we need sunlight, we need exercise, and we need a variety of plant foods like green leafy vegetables and avoiding animal foods. Why do you think they say eat cranberries or cranberry juice of a urinary tract infection? The net effect from plant foods, unrefined plant foods in our diet, is alkalizing our pH. The sun is important to set our biological clocks. A 24-hour cycle is reset by sunlight. It's vital for our immunity. It protects us against disease. There are many benefits of sunlight. Lowering your blood pressure, lowering cholesterol, improving heart contractility, and yes, it makes us happy. Melanoma patients that were exposed to sun doubled their length of survival. Yes, the sun has dangers, but there are many more benefits than risks. Appropriate sun exposure would result in a very small incidence of skin cancer deaths and prevent large amount of cancer deaths and other deaths. Eat your fruit and vegetables, never sunburn, and always wear a hat. The lack of sunlight is significantly associated with dementia, all forms of dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. If there's nothing else you can do to change your life, I would challenge you today to start exercising, and exercising regularly. Exercise is not a risk factor for osteoarthritis. Let me say that again. Exercise does not cause wear and tear on the joints. As a matter of fact, the antidote to pain and arthritis is exercise. Can you guess the best predictor of back pain? Stress and anxiety and depression is the best predictor for back pain. The best predictor for back pain on an MRI or of any pain on an MRI is inflammation. Pain is information. This allows us to decide what to do with it. There's an inflammatory component, an ischemic component, Stress, anxiety, and depression also plays a role in pain. Treatment for pain should include exercise, plant-based diet, sunlight, and caring for others. Exercise changes your pain threshold. It releases endorphins. A plant-based diet is anti-inflammatory. It also dilates small blood vessels, which resolves ischemic neuropathy. Sunlight helps with the production of nitrous oxide, which dilates our blood vessels. It also produces hormones which makes us feel good, an antidepressant, and fights pain. Caring for others is the antidote to stress, anxiety, and depression, which is the best predictor for long-term chronic back pain. The best exercise is what you enjoy. Weight training, stretching, and fitness training should be part of this. Exercise significantly decreases your risk for cancer. This is worth doing. It halves your risk for dementia. Only a small amount of exercise halves your risk for dementia. Yes, it takes more than a pill to be well. Exercise protects our brain from Alzheimer's disease. People who were at genetically risk for Alzheimer's who exercised, their brains looked like people that were at much lower risk. Who of you smoke? Do any of you smoke here? Well, if you don't exercise regularly, your risk is the same as if you smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Sitting is the new smoking. Every 2 hours you sit, your cancer risk increases 6 to 10%. This is what it looks like. And I'm sure many of you work longer hours than this. Studying runners, they found it doesn't matter if you run a little or a lot. It decreases your risk from death and cardiovascular disease significantly. For radiologists, while reading x-rays, it improved their performance significantly. They did a lot better. Their sensitivity increased significantly. Yes, exercise improves learning. And it's never too late to start. This lady started her first competition at the age of 56, and she's still going strong at 86. Is it worthwhile? In a study they done with people between the ages of 60 and 70 started to do weightlifting, bodybuilding. They stayed out of assisted living 10 to 12 years longer. Wouldn't you like to be independent for 12 years longer? Obesity significantly increases your risk for cancer. When we exercise, glucose goes to the muscle. It's interesting that statin uses exercise significantly less. The best time to exercise is throughout the day with multiple small sessions. The combination of strength and fitness training is important. Suggestion for exercise that you can still keep a conversation. If you're going beyond this, you're stressing your body. If you don't exercise, the glucose you eat, the sugar you eat, goes to the cancer, and this can accelerate cancer growth. A variety of unrefined plant foods is the next item on our checklist. Yes, what we do in life matters. We can significantly decrease the risk for disease. Yes, we can even reverse disease. A variety of plant foods include fruit and vegetables, spices, beans, whole grains, and nuts. Yes, remember, eat every day some broccoli or cabbage. A variety of fruit and vegetables reduces our risk for cancer. If you eat 9 compared to 5 fruit and vegetables a day, you have your genetic damage. If you eat 30, 40 or 50 plant foods a week, every time your risk for cancer decreases. Unrefined plant foods are anti-inflammatory. Do you know that cows in California cause more pollution than cars? Do you know that you need 10 times as much water to grow animal protein than plant protein? In this book, Dr. Claudio describes how plant chemicals kill cancer. Yes, not only does plants prevent cancer, but they actively kill cancer. Plant foods, like omega-3 found in walnuts, are anti-inflammatory. They prevent cancer formation. They kill cancer cells or cause apoptosis of cancer cells, and they protect the body from harmful chemotherapeutic effects. For example, they can greatly reduce the incidence and risk of diarrhea in patients receiving chemotherapy. Yes, it also helps for depression. In this study with prostate cancer, they gave people flax meal. And what they found, the people who received the flax meal had significantly slower growth rates in their prostate cancer. It significantly slowed cancer growth. A variety of unrefined raw plant foods. If I had cancer, I would eat raw plant foods. As an example, broccoli contains a chemical, glycopyrrolate. Together with an enzyme that occurs in broccoli, myrosinase, it forms sulforaphane. This end product kills cancer. The problem is, if we cook the broccoli, the enzymes destroy it and we have little of the sulforaphane. If you eat cooked broccoli or frozen broccoli, you can reactivate this enzyme or add this enzyme back, for example with mustard powder, and form again sulforaphane. This is what it looks like. If you eat raw food, the sulforaphane is much more available to your body in higher doses than in cooked food. This is the end result. If you eat raw broccoli, you kill the cancer. If you eat cooked foods, it has little effect on the cancer. Now I will be honest with you. Eating raw is not easy. It's time consuming, and certainly you cannot live on carrots alone. A support group, a raw food cookbook, and a variety of foods can help you with this. It takes time to learn how to do this, and you need to put time aside for this and need support and help for this. When we look at cancer progression rates compared to baseline, eggs accelerated cancer growth twice as fast. When it came to poultry, the growth rate was 4 times as high as baseline. But eating broccoli or kale, it decreased the growth rate to half that of what baseline was. Yes, plant foods prevent cancer. A 3% increase in animal foods causes a significant increase in cancer. If you increase plant protein, it causes a significant decrease in cancer. Yes, plant foods prevent cancer. A variety of unrefined foods. What do you think is the best food processor on the market? According to the Gershon Therapy, this is it, the Norwalk juicer. They take 27 pounds of fruit and vegetables a day, predominantly green, leafy vegetables with green apples, and they let their patients drink this immediately after they made it fresh, numerous times throughout the day, and they let them eat as much fruit and vegetables as what they can, and they have good success rates. But I want to warn you about juicing. Be careful how you do it. Don't do it right, and the only thing you're going to do is give sugar to that cancer and let it grow. In prisoners, they gave them cabbage juice. Those who drank it immediately, their gastric ulcers healed. When the cabbage juice was delayed or put on the shelf for a little while, they did not heal. By drinking immediately, I mean within minutes of making it. This is not fruit and vegetables. Elephants live to about the age of 70. They have 6 sets of teeth. When the last set of teeth wear out, they die from malnutrition and diseases related to that. The best food processor there is this. A variety of unrefined plant foods. Eating green leafy vegetables 3 times a week decreases your risk for depression 60%. But eating chicken can increase your risk for depression 50% from baseline. Dr. Campbell says milk is a promoter of cancer. And you can read about this in Dr. Campbell's book, The China Study. There is cancer risk associated with red and white meat. This is according to the Adventist Health Study too. This is the incidence of cow's milk consumption compared to type 1 diabetes, and you can see the strong linear relationship in this. Animal protein intake and hip fracture, strong correlation. Plant foods are a good source of calcium and alkalize the body. A variety of plant foods is what our body needs. When it comes to refined foods, soda, or animal foods, or coffee, this can lead to osteoporosis. These foods can lead to acidity in the body and lead to osteoporosis. When we eat these foods, there is increased acidity in our body. Our kidneys and lungs attempt to neutralize this acidity. But in this process, we lose bone and we develop osteoporosis. The acidity activates osteoclasts, which resorb bone, and suppression of osteoblasts. Even small physiological differences in pH results in significant bone resorption. Yes, animal foods are inflammatory. It causes damage to our bodies. Plant foods are anti-inflammatory. It heals. Is it expensive? Small red beans are the highest in antioxidants. You can buy them at your local grocery store for $1. Is it better to eat organic? Yes, there is some benefit in it. But I can tell you most studies preventing disease have done with foods that were not organic. A note on this. Organic foods are higher in B12. I will tell you that most people have some form of deficiency of B12. A daily supplement of B12, I think, is important. This is the one time today I'm going to tell you to take a pill, and that is sublingual B12. If every person in the US would eat 1 extra fruit or vegetable a day, there would be 40,000 less cancers. And if they couldn't eat organic, it would only increase the amount of cancers by 20. There is great benefits in plant foods and little risk, even if it's non-organic. Yes, there are foods that are better to eat organic. The dirty dozen. If we have a choice, eat these organic or buy these organic. The clean 15, we do not need to buy organic. We can use substitutes like sweet potatoes, do not have to be organic. Eat them instead of potatoes. If you can get produce from Holland or Canada, which is fairly readily available, they contain a lot less pesticide than those produced in Mexico and Chile. Regarding genetically modified foods, if people in Europe and China want to eat it and ship it back to the US, maybe we in the US shouldn't eat it either. Plant foods cause dilatation of blood vessels. A 19% increase in radius doubles the flow. A 50% increase in radius causes 5-fold increase in blood flow. This is because flow is related to radius to the 4th power. In the study of beet juice, they found that it lowers blood pressure. 10 millimeters of mercury. That's compared to salt restriction, which lowers it about 5 millimeters mercury. The nitrates in plant foods get converted in our mouth by bacteria to nitrites or nitric acid, and then with the help of sunlight gets converted to nitrous oxide, which is similar to nitroglycerin that we put under our tongue when we have a heart attack. The nitrates in plant foods are greatly beneficial. If you use mouthwash, it kills that bacteria, and this process does not happen. Your blood pressure do not decrease. The nitrates that we found in animal foods are toxic and carcinogenic. Yes, the best food processor is indeed our teeth. Nitrous oxide dilates our blood vessels and it stops our platelets from sticking together. This decreases stroke and heart attacks. In the New Start program, type 2 diabetic patients are put in an 18-day program, which include exercise and vegan diet. Half of them leave there cured from their type 2 diabetes. 80% of them leave there with resolution of their neuropathy. 80% of them are cured from their pain in their feet. You might be afraid you'll become protein deficient if you go on a plant-based diet. Here you can see the recommended amount of protein we need. Here you can see how much protein is in plant food. Remember, some of the world's largest and strongest animals are pure vegans. The down and dirty are vegan. Eat a variety of plant foods. Remember, they prevent cancer formation. Eat a variety of nuts. Eat it regularly. Every day you eat nuts, your risk for heart disease decreases. Up to 45% reduction by eating nuts. Whole grains significantly decreases your risk for cardiovascular disease. Drinking soy milk twice a day decreased your risk for prostate cancer by 60%. Learn how to build a salad with a variety of greens, adding nuts to it to increase the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Add lemon or acidity to it, which increases the absorption of antioxidants. Add toppings to it like fruits and vegetables, herbs. Try a combination of things. Remember, you're aiming for 50 or more variety of fruit and vegetables a week. Make beans and brown rice part of your daily diet. Learn to add spices and herbs to these beans and even vegetables like sweet potatoes. Eat what is in season. Learn to make basic vegan foods like waffles made out of oats, water, and flax. eat more raw. Try and eat at least half your food raw. Enjoy the new experience. Invite your friends over. Have a vegan potluck. Share and learn together how to do this. The next thing on our checklist is work. Work is part of that natural rhythm and routine we need. Work is the opportunity to care for others. Work restores our natural rhythm. It gets us out of bed in the morning. It gives us meaning and provides us with happiness. The Greek definition of happiness says the joy we experience striving towards our potential. I believe work and appropriate stress is important for our happiness. A friend of mine had some advice to his wife when she became unhappy. He says, "My dear, it's time for some therapy." Yes, you guessed it. Time for some occupational therapy. Time to get a job. Feelings follow action. Cabin Trudeau says, action is mental glue. Next thing on our checklist is journaling. Journaling is about caring relationships. Guido cares for his son in this movie Life is Beautiful and pretends to play a game while they're in a very difficult situation in the concentration camp. And in this process, caring for his son, he forgets about his own stress, anxiety, and depression. Caring relationships is the antidote to stress, anxiety, and depression, which leads to multiple diseases. Journaling is a relationship with myself, my spouse, with God, and with other people. It's a relationship with myself, with my mind, my body, and spirit. Yes, my own education, my own skill, and my own growth. It's a checklist to make sure I get sunlight every day, exercise, drink enough water. In 1986, Henry Ford's pastor wrote in the Reader's Digest, he says, "It is as if the inventor of the assembly line had not yet assembled himself." Journaling is a way of getting to know ourselves. But more than that, it's a way of becoming a grateful and hopeful person, living with a positive attitude. I can do all through Christ. Yes, it's a relationship with my spouse, where I encourage my spouse to be whole in mind, body, and spirit. Gary Thomas, in this book, Sacred Marriage, asked the question, what if God designed marriage to make us holy more than happy? Now I want to remind you, the word holy comes from the word whole. Marriage is the opportunity to learn caring relationships. It's where we get to know ourselves and see our own shortcomings. It's the opportunity to learn how to forgive. My dad always says, if your wife don't look so fresh as the day you married her, maybe you should ask, where did you fail to care and love? In 1950, they used to teach how to be a good wife. Have dinner ready, make him comfortable, prepare the children. I think caring has become a lost art. The 5 love languages maybe wants to teach us again how to speak love or caring fluently. Enabling and encouraging each other, eating together, making time for each other, serving together, buying your spouse a pair of walking shoes, giving your spouse a neck massage. Yes, making time for each other, eating together and putting away your cell phone. Spending time outdoors, getting some sunlight, playing together. Giving your spouse a pair of walking shoes. Praying together. In a study they've done with prayer, they found that people who pray together cannot be prejudiced or resentful towards other people when they pray and care about them. Thank your spouse for caring and helping others. Give your spouse a neck massage. Serve together with your spouse, reaching out to other people. If you care for others, you become happy. Teach others. Enable them. Encourage them to be well. Journaling is also about a relationship with God. And for me here, the importance of remembering what God has done for us, and remembering the future He has planned for us. Enabling others is how we get hope. I think in this country maybe we need more hope than more handouts from the government. Victor Hugo says, to love another person is to see the face of God. Well, if you remember, these two gentlemen carried bunches of grapes that were so big 2 people had to carry them. Yes, these 2 people had hope. They saw the glass half full, and because they had hope and belief and a future, they were the only 2 people of their entire generation that entered the promised land. Often we can mean well, but we don't get it right. It takes practice to become a caring person. Texting Facebook and watching the news or TV is not caring. Let me summarize. Often we treat the symptoms. It takes more than a pull to be well. Caring for others is the antidote to stress, anxiety, and depression. Love is the oil that keeps this gearbox running smooth. Caring for each other brings physical healing. It's a combination of things that we need to be well. I've given you the tools today to enable and encourage others to be well. Yes, it makes a significant difference. I've shown you some of the evidence. A checklist. These are the tools that make us whole. You can share this with people. You can enable them, and you can encourage them by offering them a glass of water, by taking them for a walk in the park and sharing a conversation, exercising together, inviting them to your home and sharing with them a new recipe, a vegan recipe. The best gift you can give somebody is hope. How do you get hope? You get hope by encouraging others. Teach others. Share with them. If you want to be happy, enable others. Help them to be whole in their mind, their body, and spirit. Here is some of the resources, and if you want to download this little pocket guide of holistic health, restoring a natural rhythm, or the daily routine, you can go to wildgameart.com. You can also in the future see this presentation on the website.